Modern Delhi is a city moving at breakneck speed. Commuters rush past ancient stone monuments, oblivious to the older empires buried beneath the asphalt. Look at Raisina Hill. This sprawling estate houses the highest bureaucratic offices in India. Millions pass through these spaces every year, completely unaware of what happened on this exact dirt centuries ago. Mainstream history often skips over the late 1700s. Textbooks treat the era as a confusing waiting room between the collapse of the Mughal Empire and the arrival of the British. But in 1783, this terrain was the staging ground for a meticulous 22-year military campaign. A massive Sikh army, the Khalsa, rode south and successfully captured the Mughal capital. Today, that victory is fading from public memory. Institutional textbooks largely ignore it, and the physical geography of the city is one of the only things keeping the record alive. The 18th century theater of war is still visible on the modern street map. The names of Delhi's oldest districts, gates, and courtrooms serve as the primary source material for this campaign. In February 1783, Jatadar Baghel Singh arrived on the northern outskirts of the Mughal capital, locking down a wide military perimeter. He brought a force of 30,000 heavily armed Khalsa cavalrymen. They established an encampment that effectively cut off the northern approaches to the seat of Mughal power. That specific staging ground still carries their weight. Today, it is the site of a major Indian court complex known as Tis Hazari. The name translates literally to 30,000, a direct geographic echo of Baghel Singh's army. To take the capital, those 30,000 soldiers had to solve a serious tactical problem. They had to bypass the thick red sandstone walls and defensive moats designed to keep invaders out of the inner city. They didn't bother with a prolonged siege. The Khalsa forces hammered directly into the masonry, tearing a hole straight through the Mughal fortifications so their cavalry could pour into the streets. That entry point earned a permanent title. To this day, the area where the wall was shattered is called Mori Gate, the gate of the breach. The Sikh forces scarred the exact coordinates of their tactical breakthroughs into the city's naming conventions. Once inside, the army marched on the Red Fort itself. They breached the Lahore Gate and pushed relentlessly through the corridors of Meena Bazar. They didn't stop until they stood inside the Diwan-e-Am and the Diwan-e-Khas. These marble arches were the ultimate, intimate chambers of Mughal authority. The sitting ruler, Emperor Shah Alam II, panicked. He abandoned his court and fled through a secret tunnel to hide inside the Zenana, the royal women's quarters. Historically, this is the exact moment an invading army starts looting and executing the royal household. Instead, Jatadar Baghel Singh issued strict orders. The Khalsa would protect the city's innocent civilians, and anyone who approached the women's quarters would be dealt with by the sword. When Shah Alam II finally surrendered, the Khalsa refused to take the physical crown. Instead, they dictated specific terms: the right to construct historic gurdwaras across Delhi, funded directly by a mandated 33% share of the city's tax revenue. These terms, covering 31 specific conditions, were etched into 7 solid gold plates. While they are kept in the Red Fort's internal archives rather than on public display, these plates remain the primary record of the day the Mughal crown accepted Khalsa terms. This military occupation bypassed the wealth of the treasury to secure a permanent religious and economic foothold. The Khalsa asserted a new kind of sovereignty, defined by the protection of the vulnerable and the reclamation of sacred space. If the Khalsa rejected the imperial treasury and had no desire to occupy the Red Fort, what physical prize did they take home? For Jatadar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia, it was a matter of symbolism. He ordered his troops to dismantle the emperor's physical seat of power. They tore down 20 thick stone pillars from the inner court and ripped up the massive, heavy stone slab of the Mughal throne itself. They bound that heavy masonry to horses and elephants and dragged it through the dirt for hundreds of miles, all the way from Delhi up into the Punjab. The procession ended at the threshold of the Golden Temple in Amritsar. The stone was placed low to the ground, a permanent physical declaration of an emperor's temporal power bowing down to absolute spiritual authority. You can still see the evidence. The 20 pillars and the scarred slab of the throne sit right here, built into the Ramgarhia Bunga, adjacent to the holy water. History lives in the physical ground we walk on. Remembering why these massive stones were dragged across the country, and why a bustling Delhi intersection is named after a 30,000-man cavalry, is the only way to keep the reality of Khalsa sovereignty from being erased.